Good morning, Year 4. Welcome back to English today. I hope you enjoyed your research yesterday. We started off on the same page where we left off yesterday, because yesterday you created you took part in your research where you created some notes to find out about the different items that perhaps StarCAD might discover in that burial how. Okay, so that's exactly where we're going to start off from today. We're going to have a look at those websites to see the sorts of information that you found out yesterday. So let's have a look. Which website shall we visit? Aha, the DK Find Out website. I hope you enjoyed this website. I know it gives us lots of really good information about the different types of weapons that perhaps the Vikings will have used. So we know that I could have clicked on the link here, Viking helmet, tells me how they were made, okay, made of iron with plates joined together. But hopefully if I click on this piece of information here, I can find out about the different Viking weapons. So a sword perhaps, and if I click here where it says show text, I know that I've got some information here about how the Viking swords were made, what they were made from and how they could be described. So hopefully those pieces of information will be important for us when we come to write our information text today. So I can see swords were made of steel, very long and sharp. They were used in a slipcase called a scabbard. So more examples of that technical vocab that we talked about yesterday. You might have chosen an axe perhaps as one of your weapons that you think StarCAD might find, and again some information here. A sword perhaps, or even a helmet. Okay, so hopefully that information yesterday was really useful to you. Again, if you feel that there's more information that you can take down today, by all means add more to your bullet points. Okay, hopefully you've still got your bullet points there to help you. When you visited the BBC website yesterday, hopefully you found this really useful. Again, if I click on this image here, it will tell me exactly what helmet was made from and some description here, okay, about what they would have looked like, often lined with animal fur. Ooh, didn't know that. And again, I could be using the information from the Early British Museum's Kingdom's website yesterday. And again, I know we talked about the sword as an example. If we go back here, I might be able to find out some more information, perhaps of jewellery, perhaps, if that was relevant to your information text. So going back to our learning then, I have my bullet pointed notes here. So hopefully you've got yours ready as well to be using, because today we're going to be thinking about how we can piece those notes together in order to create our information text, okay, the remaining part of our information text. So what you can see here is an example of the types of technical vocabulary that you may have taken down yesterday. So when I was doing my research about a helmet, I know that's going to be important for me for my information text. I just picked out the relevant pieces of information that's specific about a helmet. The fact it was made of iron, it had small decorated panels, tins covered bronze foil. Okay, so all of these notes are the ones that I took down yesterday, and I've popped them here because they may be useful for you to use as well. A sword there as well, okay, kept in a scabbard. The scabbard would have been lined with wool, decorated with a complicated pattern. All of those ideas are going to be really, really helpful. And then the same here with the sword as well, the diameter of the sword. That means kind of the space from one side all the way to the other side of the sword. The shield tells me how big it will have been, okay? So I might need to include that information as well. You'll find in the Google Drive that there is something called a glossary, which if there is any vocab that you took down yesterday that you're a little bit unsure of, perhaps you can look at the glossary to help you to identify what that means. The word diameter, for example, might be on there, okay? Some of the other pieces of vocab there as well will help you with that glossary, okay? So we're now going to think about how we're going to use those notes that we took down yesterday to start transferring that into sentences and thinking about a paragraph of information ready for our information text. So you can see I've done an example here as I always do, and I know one of the pictures that I've got on my information text on that template that I drew was my helmet, okay, and next to that picture is where we are going to be writing your information, okay. So you had your pictures drawn from Wednesday's lesson, so now's the time to start combining all of this learning together, okay. While I'm reading, I just want you to think about which examples of technical vocab can you spot that I've used to describe this item, okay, this artifact that I think Starcad will dig up from that burial how. Okay, so I've started off by saying this extraordinary helmet was found during the Halstead discovery and it is very rare. Made mostly of iron, it had small decorated panels which covered the warrior's cheeks. Oh, I've just noticed cheeks belongs to the warrior, so I know I need an apostrophe in there. Reading your writing back is really helpful to do that editing as you go. Looking closely, you will notice on the back was a large neck guard, which would have been silver originally in colour. Inside the helmet, it is lined with leather, which would have made it more comfortable for the warrior to wear. Okay. So which examples of technical vocab did you spot? Remember, technical vocab is the words that we use that is specific to that subject matter. I wouldn't be able to use those words when describing something about a rainforest, for example, or something about volcanoes or animals. Okay, so this extraordinary helmet, I've purposely chosen those words there to make the reader realise just how amazing this is. Okay, and this information text needs to do exactly that. It needs to make these artifacts sound really special. Okay, so this extraordinary helmet was found during the Halstead discovery and it is very rare. Made mostly of iron. Okay, so just talking about what it was made of is a way that we can be specific about that item. Okay, small decorated panels. And again, you'll see that I got that information from the notes that I've taken earlier. Okay, so I can piece these ideas together and pop them into sentences, which covered the warrior's cheeks. Looking closely, you will notice on the back was a large neck guard. Okay, again, that's specific to the helmet. Okay, technical vocab, which would have originally have been silver in colour. So we know that nowadays it's probably rusted quite a lot while it's been under the ground. So thinking what it would have been like in the past would be a really useful piece of information to include. Inside the helmet, it is lined with leather, which would have made it more comfortable for the warrior to wear. Okay, so as I said, all of those ideas have come from the notes that I took yesterday. And I used different sentence openers. Let's have a look at those together. Different sentence openers to piece that information together. Okay, so this extraordinary helmet. Okay, again, making it sound amazing. I've also used things like looking closely. You will notice. Okay, so as a discovery, you would want to study this item. So using that sentence opener will be helpful for you, and perhaps you might want to use that as well in your own writing. Inside the helmet, so using that as a preposition. Okay, telling us where to look and where to look closely gives the reader a little bit more information. Okay, you might want inside, on the top, beneath. Okay, all of those preposition words that we know that we've talked about before would be really useful for you here as well. Okay, so that's your job for today. I want you to use your notes, just like I've done, to start creating the paragraphs for your information text. Okay, so you've got your drawn pictures there from Wednesday, you've got your notes there from yesterday. I want you to fill in the information that you can use in order to describe the items that you think Starcad will have discovered. Okay, I've popped some sentence openers here for you. These are very similar to the ones that you've just seen me use in my example. Looking closely, you will notice that was the exact one I used, so use it too, it will help you. If you examine the top, if you examine the inside, you will see. Okay, so again, a good way to start a sentence. On the side, and that's an example of a preposition, just like underneath or in the centre. But you might also think on the top, beneath, below, along the sides. Okay, so there's lots of different ways that you could describe where to look on your item. This helmet is easily recognisable by its decorated panels, or this sword is easily recognisable by its long blade. Okay, or patterned handle. Okay, you decide on how you want to use these sentence openers to help you. Okay, but they're there. And I would say by the end of the lesson, you would have perhaps 3 or 4 sentences per item. Okay, so just like I've done here, if I go back to my helmet one, I've got 3 or 4 sentences that describes exactly what that helmet would look like. And you're going to do the same for your 3 items there. Okay, So use the sentence openers, use your notes from yesterday or the website still. You can still refer back to the websites if you need to. And pause me now to have a go at writing your items. Welcome back. How did you get on? I know how creative you are with ideas, so I can't wait to read them. And I'm particularly going to be looking for the way that you've used that technical vocab from your notes yesterday. Okay. So now that you've completed your information text, we're going to continue, we're going to finish off today's lesson by reading the rest of chapter 8. So you'll remember on Wednesday when we started it, we got to the stage of the story where Starkad is determined he's going to find his sword, and no matter how many times Bjorn or Gork or the other members of the ship have tried to warn him that perhaps it's not a good idea, we know he's going to do it anyway. Okay, so I want you to listen to the last part of today's lesson. You'll find it over on YouTube with Miss Eddleston reading. Miss Eddleston's also going to read you the beginning of chapter 9, okay, which is called Two Vikings and a Log. And that's going to lead us in nicely, ready for next week's English lesson, okay? So what I want you to think about while you're listening to the chapter on YouTube and the start of chapter 9 as well, I want you to think about these questions as you listen, and you don't have to write your answers down, okay? It's just something for you to think about. I want you to think about, how do you feel about them robbing the king's grave? How does that make you feel? Do you think they're doing the right thing? Or does that make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, perhaps? Do you think they deserve to be punished for what they've done? So have they done something wrong? Should they be stealing from a king that has died and been buried? Should they leave him to rest in peace? And if so, what might happen to them if they have done something wrong? Why did Bjorn go with them? Even though he was warned and Starkad was warned that Halstead was particularly dangerous. Why do you think Bjorn chose to go too? And finally, what do you think is going to happen to them next? Okay, will they find what they need? Is something bad going to happen perhaps? We've talked about that tension all week, haven't we? Okay, enjoy chapter 8 and the beginning of chapter 9, and I'll see you next week where we'll continue reading The Horned Helmet. Bye for now.